This is a video I was actually pretty excited to make because throughout all of this, one of the things that actually strikes me is that, and it is jacked up because it never really occurred to me before, but Sister Wives has never really had a strong male figure other than the kids. Like the kids do pretty good. I'm not slighting any of the OG 13, but they haven't had any real adult main character positive figures who are consistently on the show. And I say that because when Cody does what he does, or Robin does what she does, or foolishness or mayhem surmounts, you very rarely hear the voice of a guy saying, like, Cody, what are you doing? Cody, what are you sick? This is crazy. This makes no sense. I mean, you've had maybe like guest spots with Christine's brother or Christine's dad here and there, or I'm sure there might have been other people who are fleetingly on the show, but you've never really had a main character come out and say, what are you talking about, bruh? What you're saying makes no sense. And one of the things that I really liked about the confrontation, and I'll call it a confrontation between David and Cody, is that when David was talking to Cody, even though he confronted Cody, he said what he had to say, he still tried, and this is to David's credit, eh, he still tried to hold a bridge, a path, a gateway open for Cody to be able to mature, develop, take a step back, recognize where he is, what he is, and how he can fit into a situation and walk through that door. David did that for him because we could talk all day about, maybe David got him and he said some wild shit, and oh, you see Cody's reaction. At the end of the day, if we look at it from the perspective of a reality show, for sure, David kind of got the clap back on Cody and he could have taken it a step further. But if you look at this like a family, like in the family dynamics, where David's job as Christine's support system isn't to come in and destroy Cody, isn't to mangle or maul Cody intellectually or verbally, which he could have done. Clearly, he could have done that. And he probably would have been rightfully so, and it would have made for some great television. But if he came in with that purpose in mind, with that angle, that could damage not only Christine's permanently damage any prospect that Christine and Cody will be able to sit in a room again, but it'll could damage Christine's relationship with her kids as well as David's relationship with Christine's kids. Because whether we like it or not, whether we're in favor of it in favor of it or not, Christine's kids still need and want to have relationships with their father. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. If anything, that just demonstrates that they're actually good people, because good people tend to forgive. Good people tend to give grace. Good people tend to uh not focus on the negative aspects of people's personalities or whatever. They try to find the good in folks. That's what good people do. So if they raised them right and they're good people, I can't be mad at them because they do what good people do. And they want the most natural thing, which is a relationship with their parents. Unfortunately for them, they have a parent in Cody who can't get out of his own way to have a positive relationship with them. I do recognize the fact that of the two meetings that we've had so far, David, and prospectively the third meeting, because it sounds like Mary is going to stand up for Mary, but David is the only adult in this situation who is actively uh, advocating for the children. And I think that that speaks volumes about not only who he is, but about his character. Because again, David could have went there and said, you know what, you talking slick to my wife, you saying some wild stuff, boom, boom, bop, 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 and that could have been it, you know? And he could have said some wild stuff to Cody, hurt his feelings, maybe made him cry or whatever, get in an argument with him. They have a blowout argument, make for great TV, but could have created huge fractures in the family. The whole time, David is doing what we are expecting Cody to do. David is taking that role where he's doing what we're expecting Cody to do. We're expecting Cody to be the one who's trying to build a bridge between his family, Robin and her kids, to his other family, Christine, her kids, and prospectively even David on the side. David is doing that. He's being open. He's being inviting. He's trying to be charming. He's trying to make connections. When he starts to tell stories about how his life went and how his breakup went and how he too felt uh anger and vengeful, and he tried to build walls and attack things a certain way, and realizing that he was making a mistake and sharing that with Cody. Bro, you're making the same mistakes I did. He's trying to show vulnerability to Cody, to invite Cody in to change his ways or at least augment his behavior so that he too can have a relationship with his kids. Because as David had said, he's sitting there watching the pain and listening to the stories that are being told and the perspectives being given by Christine's kids as they recount how they wish they had a relationship with their father. And he sees that pain. Now, granted, we may see when the kids get on and say, "Oh, I don't need a dad. I don't want to talk to dad. I don't want to have a relationship with dad." That's what they say out of their mouth. But if you ever really look in their eyes, you can see that that statement in and of itself causes them a great deal of pain. And that's what David's trying to address. Now, when David says, instead, just it wasn't just the fact that he invoked the children, but when he said his initial statement, why do you say that? Maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could be cool after this. Why do you keep saying that? You're saying that you're coming here to apologize. You're saying you're sorry, you're regretful, you had a beautiful relationship and all these flowery things. And then you turn around and say, maybe we can get along. If we're saying that we're okay, and I'm coming from a position that, okay, fine, we're okay, we're healed, we don't need this apology. Thank you for extending it. I appreciate that. And let's move forward from here. And you're saying, I don't know, maybe we can move forward. Then the problem is on your end. The problem isn't on David and Christine's end. The problem's on Cody's end. And David picks that up. Let's take a look at this video clip um, and see what I'm talking about, and we'll expound on it further.
Wonderful and precious and special experience. Thank you. Okay, we've all moved on. We're good. We're gonna shake hands and be friends, I hope.
Why do you say that? Why do you say I hope? Why do you say that?
And I appreciate the fact that David says, why do you say that? Why do you keep saying I hope? What hope what? Why do you keep saying that? Because he recognizes that this is just merely a dismissal. And this is after he says something or he makes a point or he's sitting there watching Cody and Christine interact, and Cody is dismissing the things that Christine is saying. And that's when David, I think, is starting to get frustrated because he's realizing that this isn't about an apology. This isn't about you saying you're sorry, especially if you're saying, yeah, I came all this way where both of us are going to a different state to apologize, and maybe we could be friends. Well, you could have said this on the phone. You could have sent this in a letter or an email. You didn't have to bring us to a different state if you weren't trying to actively build some type of working relationship where we can be around each other. And Cody's response when he said, why do you say that, is classic Cody. Let's take a listen.
There is so much water in the bridge. I'm here to apologize. I don't know where we step from here.
Can I give you a little bit of advice, just a little bit? Start with your kids. Show that part, because the women have moved on, but your kids still need to heal.
And I love the part when Cody looks at that and he's so angry. How dare this heathen speak to me? Who does he think he is? He has no cause to look me in the face and utter my name. Like, that's the energy that I get from Cody. But I love the fact that it's not just the fact that David's like, oh yeah, call the kids. Call the kids. If you want to start somewhere, call the children. How about that? It's the fact that he said, look, if you really want to start apologizing, you really want to start building bridges, especially with these women, especially with my wife, because I listen to her, I talk to her, and I understand where her pain lies. And I understand it as I'm sitting there watching her kids deal with the pain of not having their father around. She's also dealing with it, and it's affecting her. So if you want to apologize to her, forget all this bullshit about I loved you, but I used to love ya and all that other ridiculousness. Get into the fact of what is really upsetting her. What's upsetting her now is the fact that her kids feel like they don't have a relationship with you. And if you want to get back in with her, start with her kids. And even more to the point, don't worry about these adult ass women who you have nothing to do with. Because at the time, I don't even think he said the Mary and Janelle, he included them in. But realistically, talking specifically about his wife, you don't have to worry about my wife. My wife is no longer your problem. What you need to worry about is your kids. See, you still have an opportunity to improve those relationships. But as far as this head go, no, 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 no. There is no more Cody and Christine. That doesn't exist anymore. That road is burned to the ground, it's been buried, and they lost the map. So don't worry about the road back to Christine. What you need to worry about is the road back to your kids so that we can all deal with each other as adults. And if we're serious and genuine about this apology, start there. And that also tells us and gives a strong indication that Cody's not serious about the apology. Because when he's confronted with that, he doesn't have a response. The only thing he can do is, look here, I just came here to say some words, try to smooth things over, and force Christine to do what I want her to do, which is to leave me alone so that I can go out and tell bullshit stories about how great I am as a father and how awesome I am as a husband, so that when I go on different shows, people will stop asking me about the shit relationships I have with Christine and my kids. That's what Cody is essentially saying. That's the purpose of the apology tour. It's not to say sorry about the way I treated you, the things that caused you to leave, how I might have embarrassed you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The whole purpose of the apology tour is to get the women, the OG3, to shut up. This isn't the apology tour. This is the shut the F up tour. Or more to the point, to shut the F up demand. So I appreciate the fact that David went in and gave that advice. And he even took it a step further by trying to show his fallibility, his vulnerability, and saying where he potentially could have made mistakes. And in all that, what was Cody's response? When he's insulted that this occurred with David, what was his response?
My whole purpose here is to apologize to Christine, not to David, not to anybody else. At this point, it's to apologize to Christine.
See, his whole purpose was to apologize to Christine. He doesn't care about what David thinks, and let's be honest, he doesn't care about what Christine thinks. He just wants to be able to say he said the words. And this is all just it's all propaganda. And it's ridiculous that TLC pushed it forward. And at the end of the apology tour, I'm going to give reasons as to why I think TLC is trying to push this forward. And for all of us who have taken a position that somehow TLC has woke up and realized that they can let Cody and Robin go, I'm calling bullshit on that too. Okay. And we'll get into that in a different video. But there's a point where Cody talks about he's angry now. Because one, how dare you cut me off when I'm in the middle of my soliloquy about how I feel sorry and how I used to love the relationship and it was beautiful from a poetic sense, even though I didn't really have value for it and it wasn't great to me. If somebody from the outside were to look at it, they would say that that is idealistic and wonderful. And I'm not going to disparage what I did because that would be too close to me saying I made a mistake. But I'm going to say that this was all great and wonderful. And I need you guys to start saying it. The relationships were great and wonderful too. That's all this is. And then he comes back because he's angry now that David brought up the kids, which makes him look bad. So now he has to respond. And his response went a little something like this.
I've set a boundary with my kids, and I'm setting that boundary with David and Christine. I don't care what you think.
I'm here to apologize, and I don't even want to be reminded of that because it will bring me back to an angry place.
See, he's setting a boundary. And he set a boundary with his kids. Now he's setting a boundary with Christine and David. The problem that Kody has is that I don't think he sees the boundary that David is setting. Because David, when he says you don't have to worry about these three women, don't apologize to them, he's basically setting a boundary. Stop worrying about my wife. Stop worrying about my lady. You want to worry about a lady? You go home, worry about your lady. This lady, she gonna be fine. Don't worry about her. Worry about your kids. Because that's the only one you really have a relationship with. Because again, like I had said when I was talking about the McKelty Pop Psych video, the whole idea of primary relationships versus secondary relationships. Your primary relationship with Christine is null and void. It's no longer in existence. It's expired, deceased, dead as fried chicken. It's over. Done data. Okay? Finished. Don't worry about Christine anymore. The only reason you have a relationship with Christine right now is because of the kids that you share. If it wasn't for the kids, and if you guys didn't have 6 children together, Christine wouldn't be trying to talk to you at all. You would be just like every other ex that exists in the rest of the world. You'd be lost to the pages of time and it'd be finished. And I respect the fact that, I also respect and acknowledge the fact that Kody, because he has a feeling of self importance, he doesn't recognize other people's boundaries. He just recognizes when he doesn't feel comfortable with something, when it's something he doesn't want to discuss or talk about. So he says, "Oh, I'm setting boundaries," but he clearly doesn't recognize their boundaries. If he did, he wouldn't have went there with that whole "I used to love you" crap. When he says that he doesn't care what they think, he's just there to apologize to Christine, he means that. When he says he doesn't care what they think, that's established in the fact that he's sitting there saying, "Look, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to hear what your perspective is." And if you are in a position where you can't face the entirety of a wrongdoing or a bad action or situation, I don't want to think about that because if I do, I'll get angry. Then, my friend, you are in no position to apologize. You're not ready. You're not ready for an apology at that point. If you're still walking around pretending like you mad and angry because you feel betrayed and these women did something to you, then you don't feel like you owe them an apology. And to me, again, that's bullshit. That's just the stuff that he keeps throwing out, saying that it's okay. You don't want to apologize because you're still angry. And if you're still angry, why are you here? Because you're angry and you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to discuss it. You don't want to hash it out. So why are you talking to me? Go talk to yourself. Go talk to your wife. Go talk to Robin. Go sit there on the couch with your buddies and talk about how evil the OG3 are and how foolish David is and how he a clown ass dude and how he trying to make you look bad and because he only been with Christine for 2 years and they're happy that you had 25 years, even though you said you didn't even want to get married to her. 25 years doesn't mean anything if you're not happy and it's not somewhere you want to be. And especially if you spend 25 years not paying attention to her, not listening to her, not respecting her, that's not 25 years with that person. That's just 25 years around that person. And that's just a big difference. So, when watching this, one of the things that I would say, first and foremost, I see a lot of the reason when Christine came out and said that David is a special guy, he's a nice guy, he's a wonderful man, and blah, blah, blah. I see a lot of that now. I'm starting to see more of his personality. For me, I'm starting to see more of his personality. I'm starting to see more of that, him trying to extend himself and say, "Hey, let's hang out. I'm going to take you to Moab because that's a special place to me. I'm willing to take you there. I'm willing to hang out with you." And I'm going to be straight up. David doing that is more than most men would do with their wives, ex-husbands, or ex-boyfriends. I'm willing to extend that to you. In most cases, the most you can expect from somebody in David's position is that you guys just treat each other essentially professionally, or you just are courteous to one another. When you see each other, you don't cuss them out, you don't yell at them. You might just say hi, hey, what's going on? Give them the head nod and just keep it pushing. David's actually trying to open himself up to have a friendly relationship with Cody, inviting Cody in. The problem that Cody is having is that if we go back to season 17, when he talked about Christine leaving and she said she wanted to move to Utah, he said, don't move to Utah or move to Utah. You stay here in Arizona. You buy a house next to the family and you get married. He can move next to the family with you and he can join the family too, which basically puts her husband under Cody because he's supposed to be the leader of the family. And if she's a part of the family and she gets married to somebody else, that guy joins the family, he's joining Cody's family. And that's still the mindset that Cody's in, which is actually pretty sick. And in my opinion, is quite deranged. But that's the opinion that he's coming from. And bully for David for cutting through the stuff. And again, he's establishing that, look, I am willing to meet with you man to man on the same level. What I'm not willing to do is sit here and bow down to you. I'm not willing to acknowledge that you're some kind of great hierarchical leader. And because you had Christine first, all of a sudden I'm indebted to you and I'm subservient to you. David's not playing that game. And bully for David for doing that. I like what I'm seeing as far as that's concerned. I'm also kind of looking forward to hearing a little bit more from him, not only in a tell-all, but maybe in independent interviews where people are actually getting David's perspective. Because I think he has a story to tell, and I think he has a side to tell, and I think that he could pull it off. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Hype the video. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.